I did it.
Just for
Okay. Greatest common factor.
I've never asked how to spell that. I just guessed, and then I know what it means.
So much. Oh my god. Bro, Jacqueline, shut up. What? Jacqueline?
What two numbers multiply to 2? 1 and 2. What about 42? 1 and 42. 2 and
Do I need to put that in the box?
21.
Where am I putting this?
If you don't, just give me 1 second. 4, 5, 6. 3 goes into it. 3 and
14.
Is it 14? Thanks. Does 4? No. 5? No. 6? Yes, because 2 and 3 go into it. And then the next number I would check would be 7. So these are all my factors of 42. Once the list starts coming over here, you know these are all the numbers, all the factors of 42. So what is the biggest number they have in common? Did you need to write out all the factors of 42 to know that? No, but for future reference, this is how I'm finding the greatest common factor is 2. What about variables? What variables do they have in common? None. This one has an X, this one has a Y, so they have nothing in common. So we're going to divide out the greatest common factor. 2x divided by 2. 1x. You don't have to put the 1 there. There's always an invisible 1 there. 42 divided by 2. 21 and then y. Make sure there's no more greatest common factors, because if there is, then you didn't take out the greatest common factor. So just check here. When there's not, put this in parentheses and put your greatest common factor in the front. That's factoring by greatest common factor.
I don't even know what factoring is.
Because we're not changing it, we're just taking out a factor. So at the end, you should be able to distribute in and get back to the original.
So what's the point of doing
This is how we solve quadratics.
What's quadratics?
Quadratics are parabolas, the U-shaped graphs. Equations with x squared, those are quadratics.
I hate quadratics.
Okay, 4 and 24. What is your greatest common factor?
4. No. It is 4.
It is 4. You already knew that, so I didn't have to do all this. If the smallest number goes into the biggest number easy, that is your greatest common factor.
8.
How many x's do they have in common?
3.
3. There's 4 in the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's 3 in the second one. And you're seeing how many they have in common. They have 1, 2, 3 in common. So I'm dividing by x cubed. 4x cubed is my greatest common factor.
So x cubed is a part of the greatest common factor?
Yes. So 4 divided by 4 is your 1. X to the 4th divided by x to the 3rd is 1x. So just x. Remember, you subtract your exponents. 4 minus 1.
So it's x to the first power?
X to the first power. So I could have a lot of 1s around this, and that 1x to the 1 is the same thing as just x. 24 divided by 4? X cubed divided by x cubed? Nothing. 0. 3 minus 3 is 0. You don't write x to the 0 because that's 1. So x plus 6.
4x squared.
4x cubed goes in the front.
Now will we have to solve it after we get it like this?
That is next week. Yes. Next week we will solve these.
How are we supposed to solve something that has 2 variables?
I will show you next week. You set both of them equal to 0 and solve.
Oh.
This was the bonus.
So you didn't have to scare me.
So,
I can't talk about the bonus right now.
oh, you can't?
Nope.
Wait, where's the bonus?
No, he meant for the test yesterday. Yeah. All right. 8 and 6. Greatest common factor? 2. If you don't know them, you're going to write all your factors down. 8 is 1 and 8, 2 and 4. 6 is 1 and 6, 2 and 3. So it's 2. I know you already said 2, but I'm just showing you when the numbers get bigger. Oh. What variables do they have in common?
A squared.
A, B. So the first one has 2 A's and a B. The second one has 1 A and 2 B's.
Oh, so So it has an A and B in common.
It has an A and a B in common.
Tab is how I read that.
A divided by 2
Wait, do you see it?
is
It's tab.
4.
2AB is tab.
A. Yes.
Why isn't it?
Why is it just A?
They have 2 A's in common and 1 B. So they have the first one has 2 A's, the second one has 1. So they only have 1 A in common. And then the first one has 1 B and the second one has 2 B's. So they have 1 B in common.
Why is it just 4A? Okay, but
Because the
Where's the B?
A squared and A. So I have 2 A's, I'm taking 1 away. I'm left with 1. I have 1 B, I'm taking it away. 0 B's. 6 divided by 2, 3.
Why can't we just use X and Y? It's
B.
so much easier.
Make sure you remember to put your 2AB in front.
Wait, what?
All right, I saw.
Do I kind of think maybe I like something? Yes. Does everyone else think I do? Yes, but somebody else. Anyways, so
All right, looking at the board, what's wrong? You thought it was a 4. There's still another greatest common factor. I didn't take out the greatest common factor. I took out a factor of it. So I would have to do it again because I could still take out a 2 from here. So this is wrong because there's still a greatest common factor in here. So it shouldn't have been 2. It should have been 4. But I just want to show you like how you know if you're wrong or not. That's why I was doing that. All right. The other problem I saw walking around is that I can't think and talk at the same time. Some people forgot to put the last number. They just left it. So it would just be a 1. The last thing I want to talk about is your variables. So another way to see it, you had x squared, so 2 x's, 2 y's, 1x, 1y. That's right here, right? That's what we're doing. And so you can just physically cancel them out. Cancel this one, cancel that one, cancel this one, cancel that one. So you're left with yx in that first term. So if the variables are like confusing you, you can just write them all out and cancel one from the top, one from the bottom, one from the top, one from the bottom. There wasn't many people who actually need to see that, but for the few who did, I want to show you. Questions?
Why? Do I have to do this?
Yes, we're going to. So why I'm skipping to 4 terms is because it's the same thing. Now we're just doing it 2 times. So last page. Last page.
Wait, is this 4 terms?
This is 4 terms. Skip it to the last page. I know.
She said so. There's a madness.
All right. You on these, you ignore the last 2 and you do it again for the greatest common factor of the first 2. What we were just doing. What is the greatest common factor of x cubed and 2x squared? X 1 x squared.
No.
Same thing, but
Not the same.
1x squared.
Wait, so you can just break it up how you want it?
First 2, last 2.
Always?
Yeah. X. Whoop. So if you have 3 x's on top, 1, 2, 3, and you're taking out 2,
You have 1.
I have 1 left over. X plus 2 on top, taking out 2, 2. Yes. And then I'm going to put 1x squared in the front. And now I'm going to erase and ignore the first 2 now and do the last 2. That's called grouping. So I group the first 2, take out the greatest common factor. Now I'm going to group the second 2 and take out the greatest common factor. 8.
Wait.
8 is our greatest common factor between 8 and 16.
So it's 1x plus 2.
So I'm going to divide by 8.
Hey, look at it. So it's X plus 2 again.
So it's x plus 2 again. And I'm going to keep that positive 8. I took out a positive 8.
Your greatest common factor before the
Parentheses. Yes. Welcome to math.
I hate it here.
Because one last step in this one is what do you see in common twice? Hold on one second.
2.
X plus 2. So I'm going to factor out x plus 2. Now I'm taking x plus 2 out of both of these terms, taking it out of this one and out of this one, and writing whatever's left in their second parentheses.
There's nothing left.
What did I not cross out?
8 x2 plus 8.
And 8. That's your answer.
What is it?
Some of you are trying to move on because that's just who you are, which is fine. But we have to put this in standard form, meaning highest exponent to lowest exponent, and then group them.
Highest exponent to lowest?
Highest exponent to lowest. So x cubed 2x squared minus 5x minus 10. Highest exponent to lowest exponent.
That's what standard form. Why did no teacher ever teach it like that?
standard form.
Wow,
Highest
Corinne.
exponent to lowest.
So group the first two. Group the last two. Take out the greatest common factor. Sure, what's the greatest common factor of the first two? 1 what? Huh.
X squared.
X squared.
I feel like that's the answer all the time.
Oh, it's up here too.
So I choose 2.
X plus 2.
My stapler!
I got X plus 2 in there.
It is the exact same thing. That's a bad example.
Do we have to put the 1x? The next one?
No.
Is that throws me off?
All right. When I divide by 5, I get x minus 2. That's no bueno. No good.
Why?
I want my parentheses to match. So I want to take out a negative 5. So if that first term is negative, take out a negative. Because then negative 5 and negative 5 would be positive
Why
x.
didn't you take out a negative 5 anyway?
Negative 10 and negative 5 is a positive 2.
Yeah, but why didn't you divide by negative 5 anyway?
Why did you start with
Because usually when people think greatest common factor, they think positive numbers and not negative. Because greatest is the biggest number.
But if 10 was positive, you wouldn't take out the negative. How did you write just then without looking?
So now in common, there's x plus 2. And what's left over? 1x squared minus 5.
My eyeballs. Oh, that's the answer.
That's the answer.
Good night.
Good night.
If I could go to bed, I would.
Because I hate my. I'm really good at this.
Not the pausing of me.
Going from the other end.
21. What do they have in common?
N plus 3. Parentheses, negative 9 and
Hold
minus
up.
5.
Oh, y'all went to that.
Negative 9
Went to 22. This is easy.
Oh, this.
Okay, in 22 and 23, 22 and 23, they're not the same. Y minus 2, 2 minus y.
Wait, what's the difference?
This is saying negative y plus 2. And this is saying y minus 2.
So you just throw the whole problem away.
You wish. So what you should see is that my signs are opposite. So instead of taking out a 4, they should have taken out a negative 4. So I'm going to divide both of these by negative 1 so I can get them to be the same sign.
Don't just leave it.
So now it'll be negative 4, negative 2 plus y, which is the same thing. I'll write it so it looks like the same thing.
That really makes me mad.
Oh.
You just had to add an extra step, didn't you? It's like
Literally.
That's all math is.
Why
Add an
would you
extra
create
step.
this?
Add an extra step.
I'm pretty sure Miss Rose created.
Yeah.
So y minus 2 come out. And 3y squared minus 4.
See, look.
So this is just a way if you see that your parentheses aren't equaling, you maybe you didn't take out a negative when you should have.
Will we have problems like this?
Yes.
Okay.
You're not gonna make it last night.
Oh wait, so could I just like change
Yes.
this? I don't
And
know.
then you got the negative 4 from.
The negative 1 times negative 4.
Okay.
Does it matter which way the parentheses
All I
go?
do is walk in, walk down the stairs.
No. All right. So again, d minus 5 and 5 minus d, our signs are messed up.
Just divide by 1.
So instead of bringing out a negative 3, I should have brought out a positive 3.
Rob called me the other day, like 5 minutes in, doesn't say anything.
Anyone know how to get these erasers out of the hole?
Your mom,
I'm telling my mom you said that correctly.
as you should.
Oh my gosh.
I'll tell her.
Do it. Do you have her number? I can give it to you.
I do, actually.
So d minus 5,
Alejandra, absolutely not.
2d plus 3. Okay, I always put the repeated parentheses first, but does it matter?
No.
Yes.
No, it's multiplying. We're multiplying.
I don't even know what you asked.
So d minus 5 is the same thing as 2d plus 3 times d minus 5.
Bro, I can't get the eraser out.
So it doesn't matter order with multiplication.
Aluminum.